Windy here. Let's see if I'm live, if anybody's picking this up. I guess I could go ahead and get started. There we go. Hey, everybody. I missed it. I missed it. And somebody else had to point it out, and I need to bring it to your attention. In the description box below, I know it's on Twitter, and a lot of you don't have Twitter. Hello, everyone, as you come in. And I apologize for that. Maybe you can, find it some other way. But Spiros Never Sleever on Twitter, who I follow and I follow for quite some time, as does Monty of Monograph and October Rains, who are actually pretty close, has a clip from a guy who was listening very closely to Prince Charles' speech at that summit that was going on over there in Britain, in Britain, in Glasgow, with all the world leaders. And what Prince Charles said, and I don't know how I missed this, he says that they need to get the trillions of dollars for, quote, his disposal, unquote. You know, it was so veiled and so quick, I missed it. And there it is. Please, it's about a 2-minute clip in the Twitter, on the Twitter link in my description box. If you can listen to it, you need to. We've said for a long time that the AC is here. And again, as I've explained many, many times, the AC is only one part of the beast system, and he answers to the beast system, although a lot of these different people will argue and be competitive with each other. But this one, I'm not sure if they're talking about the AC or if they're talking about the big fallen angel. Whichever it is, it's indicative of why all these world nations and leaders are falling in line, especially the so-called leftist, or I'm sorry, leftist, well, that's what they are now, these so-called liberty democracies in the West, especially Australia right now. And as a matter of fact, there have been many pleas for help by the Australians to the international community, and they're totally being ignored. If the things that were happening in Australia were happening in, say, the Sudan or in some other third world country, there'd be an invasion by the United Nations. But no, this is because the United Nations wants this. And it's going to happen in all of the liberty-loving supposed nations, and it's well underway. As you know, now they've okayed the GMIs for the very, very young. I'm talking in code here. They're attacking us. This is the worship of Moloch, to burn the children in the fire of Moloch. And now we have this information. Hi, Ms. Cat. We have this, and again, I don't know how I missed it because, I multitask. So I'm listening to these speeches at the summit there in Glasgow, and I just missed it. But he definitely says it. The trillions to his disposal. Bettina, Nancy Morgan Hart, did some background investigation and research, and found where a priest, I believe it was a cardinal, or it was probably a bishop, I'm not really sure, but in about right around her birth time, right around 1963 or so, he said that Satan walks the halls of the Vatican. Whatever that means, I'm not sure, but she pointed it out, and she said it to me many times as I was talking about what I knew about the occult and how things are moving along on these occultic. And when I say occultic, that's really not a nasty, evil term. It just means hidden, right? That's all it means. instead of Kabbalah, which means to reveal, right? Which a lot of people don't understand, but that's another subject. The point is that these worshipers of the evil side believe that that God is now come into the world, however it's happened, and they are making all of the nation's militaries, all of the monies, all of the production, everything they're turning over for his disposal. Do you understand what this means? The world leaders, Jonah of Nineveh, Michael, who's on Twitter, and he has his own blog. I forget the name of it now. One of you might remember the name of it. I'm sorry, I've forgotten. He's, yes, bless Nancy Morgan Hart Patina. I loved her so much. Amazing woman. Anyway, Jonah of Nineveh, Michael, and I used to put a lot of information out about why we were, 90% sure that the beast system was in full operation and that the AC was here, and it could very likely be Trump because of all the things that are happening right now. You see Trump kind of falling away again because everybody's upset with his stand on the GMIs and that kind of thing. I see even Julie Kelly on Twitter saying, because Trump came out and said, well, Youngkin in Virginia wouldn't have gotten this far if it hadn't been for Trump me. That's what he's saying. And she said, would you please stop always making it about you and just congratulate Youngkin on his victory, which is very true. Actually, Michael Cernovich was saying, Trump, stay away from Virginia. Don't bother Youngkin, he's doing fine without you. But see, a lot of people think the AC is all powerful. He isn't. He's just one part of the beast system, the one that everybody will see. But he works directly for this one who is going to have the world's resources at his disposal. Here we are. Well, that's a good thing and that's a bad thing. As I've said, we're probably halfway through the tribulation again. I don't like to talk about the chronology, and you people that don't like to talk about the spiritual side, I totally understand. But when you understand that the Bible is the playbook, is the operations order for both the good and the bad sides, you got to take these things into consideration. So I wanted to bring that up. I won't take a lot more of your time. You need to go listen to this. He goes right to it, and you'll see it. And I feel really dumb that I missed it. I think I was typing out something on my computer as I was listening to the speeches, and that's too bad. But somebody else, God gave the ear to listen, so and to record it. So that's a very good thing, and I appreciate Never Sleeve or Spiros putting this out, and especially the man who was doing the review of Prince Charles, who's now, I guess, the regent, the king in waiting for Britain. That was very important. There were some other things I was going to bring out, but I think that probably tops the list of importance today. Yeah, I might come on a little later. Ladies and gentlemen, this was an extremely important, significant piece of evidence. It shows that the covenant with many, even though some of these things are New Testament ideas, and you know how I'm very cautious about that, especially I gave that live stream the other night, about this situation with Second Thessalonians and all of that. How it was actually something that likely happened in the first century, although there are types and shadows, and these things repeat a lot, and we could still see that. And I won't rehash that, but this was a significant situation here. And despite how I feel about Paul and whatever he wrote there, we're still following pretty close to Revelation at this point. I don't think we're going to get out of this. I will say this. The scriptures talk about that the wheat and the tares will grow together because God doesn't want to go after the tares because you might uproot the wheat. So he says, let them grow together for now. And then at the proper time, the tares will be uprooted, gathered in bundles to be burned. And I pointed this out before, the real issue isn't that God, and I've called for a gathering of like-minded people together to leave Babylon, because it says to do that in Revelation and other scriptures. It just makes sense. Stand in the holy place, stand separate. But what's really happening is these evil people think that they're throwing us out, that they're separating us out by throwing us out of society, by virtually imprisoning us, starving us out. You see now where there are places where you're not going to be able to buy food unless you have the GMI, et cetera, et cetera. That's very common now, especially in Australia. The real fact of the matter is the pit that they're digging for us, they're actually going to fall in themselves, because what they're in effect doing is they're pushing God's people away from them so God can give him the wrath of his judgment. So embrace this division, embrace this separation, gather with like-minded people. They think that they're doing it to destroy us, and they're probably going to hurt a lot of us. But in the end, the destruction will fall on them, I'm sure. And we have every right in the world to defend ourselves with deadly force to protect our children. We might not win every little battle, but there's something about standing up for the children and your wives, gentlemen, defending them with your lives. No greater love hath a man than to lay down his life for his friends. And that sure includes his family, his wife, and his children. It's coming to that. They're forcing it. We don't want to go running around and doing offensive things, but when they come after you and your kids, the rules change. But you're going to need help, so you're going to have to talk to your neighbors. Because of the way I know how they operate on those things, and you probably should too by this time. They come at you and they pick you off one by one, right? They're dirty bastards. The FBI, all of them are dirty bastards. And our DOD is no different now, our Department of Defense and our military. They're getting rid of all the good people, just like I warned about last summer. Because, as Prince Charles said, they want to get everything in the world, so they can give it to him for his disposal. I hope that there are a few governors that will stand up. We need to gather, but I'm not holding my breath for that, because God really wants us to trust him. And that's going to be a big deal, a big test. There's nothing wrong with us calling our lesser magistrates, our sheriffs, our mayors, our counties, and our states. There's nothing wrong with calling them on the carpet and telling them that they need to stand behind righteous principles, even at the peril of death. But I'm not kidding myself. I'm not certain that there are a few. The LA County Sheriff, for instance, Villanova is doing a really good job right now. You know, he's giving the finger to the governor and to the county board and all that there. And there are a few of those around the country. I was talking with Roosevelt about one in Texas, a very small sheriff, but they can all, these good sheriffs and these can all make posses, deputize people to fight everybody that comes after them, no matter who they are, the feds, the UN, or whatever. And the state governors can organize government government supported legally and lawfully through the legislature and the governor's orders a state militia that's not the National Guard is not the militia. That's all hogwash. That was all sold to us, and they're not the militia. We are the militia. And the governors of these free states, what's left of them, need to organize militias of the people and get them trained to fight these demons because they're coming. Some things are happening in court. There are court cases being rounded up right now on all these different things. For instance, I think right now an argument's being made, if it hasn't already been adjudicated, that if a corporation puts the mandates from OSHA and President Biden into effect, then they are in effect a state agent, an agent of the federal government, and therefore the Bill of Rights does take effect. The corporation cannot claim that it's doing it because it's just its own corporation. It has now become an agent of a state. But the courts are corrupt. I don't know how that, some courts are going to go with the people, and most of them probably aren't. So we're there. Just like I thought. Just like I thought. Prince Charles, somebody's about ready to come on the scene. He wouldn't have done that. All the leaders know who it is. I am absolutely positive about that, and I am certain that that situation I pointed out with President Trump, King Salman of Saudi Arabia, and the president of Egypt putting their hands on that globe, I'm certain that that had something to do with whoever these two people are. Satan, whoever, whatever he is, Halil ben Shakar, Azazel, whoever it is, and the earthly representative, the AC, who is just one part of the beast, but who will help the beast system move along. And that's exactly what Trump has done. Nobody wants to admit that. I still hear AJ, he came out a little bit the other day. I pointed it out to some people. He had Wayne Allen Root on there, who I know is a Trump supporter basically, but he was also calling out Trump for this whole thing on the OWS, etc., which was a good thing. But they've got to start calling out Trump every single show, like I said. Dedicate one whole show to it to show that it's necessary. Of course, they're not going to do that. And then one segment of the show, at least. I don't think Obama doesn't fit the AC. I'm sorry, he doesn't. He was very popular. He still is. He's behind the scenes doing a lot of things, but there's some other problems with him being that guy. He's a minion of the AC. I don't see him being the AC. At one time I thought he may be, but that's not possible now. I don't think. Pet Goat, if any of you saw that, the intimation in that was that it would be some type of an Islamic person, Middle Eastern Islamic person. But probably not the AC. That could possibly be the actual incarnation of, and I don't want to get too far out in the weeds here, but it is possible that could be the incarnation of Lucifer, and Lucifer is not his name, I know, and I'm really speculating there. All I know at this point is Trump's punched a lot of tickets for the AC. The system here, the beast system is here, it's working. The false prophet beast system is here. The beast from the sea and the beast from the earth are both here. And we just heard Prince Charles, who is the centerpiece of probably the centerpiece, but it's certainly right there with him, for all this turmoil that's going on in the world, all this chaos, said that they need to give everything to his disposal. Not meaning Prince Charles, he was talking about some other entity. We need to make sure that we give billions, trillions, and the assets, military, all this, for his disposal. Well, there are a lot of antichrists, certainly, but that I'm not going to argue with you on that. There have been a lot of antichrists, and I've talked about that in the past. But in the time of the last days, there is a specific, and again, it has to do with the system, but there is one head that received the wound, and then the whole world ends up worshiping that. The only person I know that fits that description at this point right now is Trump, but we'll see. Okay, I think I've talked enough. Get yourselves ready. Prep, pray, stay out of the way. One of the things that we really can't do is, no matter how much prep we do, all of that might be for naught, but I think you still need to do it. And because that shows your goodwill and your willingness to help others. I think that's a good thing. But don't make that your God. You know what I mean? Don't make your preparation your God. Because that's an idol too. But you should have provisions and supplies as best you can. What was that? Ron Rondondo, he says, Roy, tell me honestly, do you think you will see Jesus Christ in person in the next 5 years? I'm not going to answer that right now. I've covered that subject and I've been all around it. And I know that's kind of a cop-out, Ron. But I've kind of covered that information all around. And at this point, I think what's important is that you do what Christ would want you to do. I wouldn't even, there are those who say, well, look to Christ, he's going to fix it all. You be that change you want to see in the world. That's not saying you're being worshipped or that you're putting yourself on the same level as Christ. I'm not saying that. But Christ wants to see what you're going to do. Okay? So conduct your life accordingly and we'll see what happens. I pray, as I said, for deliverance and a place of refuge every day. Every single day, and many times a day. I guess that's all I've got for now. Go look at that, okay? Go look at that if you've got Twitter before they take it down. I don't think they'll take this one down. It'll probably the AI probably won't get it, and the nerds that and the geeks that watch for all this stuff, it'll probably go over their head. So it's probably going to be there for quite a while. But go look at it. I think it'll probably make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. Okay, out here.